Hi everyone, and welcome to round 3 of the eSports Racing League presented by RaceVoice and Driver61, right here on Apex Racing TV. This week we come back east to the place Paul Newman called Heaven on Earth, Virginia International Raceway. This 17-turn, 3.27-mile racetrack, akin to a country club for race cars, sits right on the Virginia and North Carolina borders. And tonight it plays host to some of the best virtual racers I've ever had the pleasure of watching race. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and as always, we've got Avery McDonald joining me in the announce booth, and Dennis Branch manning the controls, bringing you all the best angles and action. Tonight, we've got two great races on tap. First up is the return of the Pro Formula Mazda to Race eSports Racing League, and then our Mazda MX-5 drivers will jump behind the wheel for the second week in a row. So Avery, it's an all Mazda night tonight at VIR, and when we last saw the Pro Mazdas 3 weeks ago at Summit Point, we had some early incidents set the tone for that first round of the Ray eSports Racing League. While we saw Tyler Campbell take the win from pole, the rest of the podium perhaps was maybe as surprised as we were to come home with some virtual hardware.
Yeah, it was definitely a good opportunity for those drivers that don't usually end up on the podium to capitalize on some other drivers' mistakes and get a good solid finish. You know, here at VIR, I mean, it's a tough, tight track, Greg, and we got some good drivers in this Pro Mazda car, so just have to wait and see what happens. But you know, with qualifying underway, we'll see what we have in about 10 minutes.
There you go, exactly. We're about, as you can see, about 6 minutes into our 15-minute qualifying session. And if we do look back 3 weeks ago when we last had the Pro Formula Mazdas out on track, that was for round 1 at Summit Point Raceway. Well, the driver who was up until just a moment ago our provisional pole sitter, Tyler Campbell, he ran from pole to take the checkered flag in Pro Formula Mazda. Morgan Burkhardt, who is sitting at the top of the order right now, he started 6th, and after some very early race mayhem on the very first lap, he went from 6th to finish the race on the second stop of the podium. And then we had John Vogel finishing in 3rd. And so if we go and we take a look at the points and where we stand here after 1 week, you know, we ran down that podium, but that's not how the points are playing out so far. We've got Campbell and we've got Burkhardt as our top 2 drivers in the points right now. But then we've got Charles Vaccaro. Vaccaro finished 5th at Summit Point, but by virtue of racing clean, he actually picked up 3 bonus points, and so he is now sitting 1 point ahead of John Vogel, Stevie Ray, and Graham Lofthead. He's in 3rd. Those 3 drivers all share a piece of 4th place right now. But again, just after 1 week, and we have 9 weeks in the season, and each one of our 3 classes, the Pro Formula Mazdas, the Spec Miatas or Mazda MX-5s, which we'll see a little bit later today, as well as the Spec Racer Fords that have the week off, they will each run 6 of those events over the course of 9 weeks. All right, so here as we check out on in qualifying, we are about 8 minutes in, so a little bit over halfway into this 15-minute qualifying session. We've got Morgan Burkhardt in the number 40 All Sports Racing machine. Currently first, Tyler Campbell, our winner in round 1, currently sitting about 14 hundredths of a second off of Burkhardt's times in second. And then we've got Murphy Nichols, who Murphy's 15 years old, and you know, I'd be surprised, you know, at this point if he's even kissed a girl, Avery. But he currently is running 3rd. Well, now his teammate Jameson Huffman actually running 3rd.
Yeah, these young bucks really, they do a good job here, Greg. You know, for being, you know, a lot of people say you need the experience of being older, but I mean, with how young kids are with it, like games and racing in general, they'll be fine. They're fast. I mean, they put on a good show. I mean, the only thing is though, I mean, you got to watch out for when the Huffmans get together. I mean, Papa Justin.
Yeah, that was actually one of the major trouble points in our Pro Formula Mazda race at Summit Point. Was we had Jameson Huffman and his father Justin Huffman out on track, and as they went down into turn 3 on the very first lap, son Jameson got into his father's gearbox going through. They both ended up off track, and I believe Dad had to retire, and Jameson ended up having to try to work his way back up from the rear. Actually ended up finishing in 13th position. Actually, take that back. Dad finished in 13th. Son Jameson finished in 14th. So not exactly the way they had wanted to start things out. And I believe Jameson had started on the outside of the front row, and Justin had started right on the second row in 3rd position. And so I'm sure the two of those drivers will be looking to maybe run, I don't know, separated out from one another this weekend.
Well, it's the quickest way to get grounded. I mean, so I mean, yeah. It was just kind of a funny
exactly.
moment.
We figured that when Jameson didn't come back out after the wreck, that Dad Justin had probably relegated his son to his room for, I don't know, about the next 6 months or so.
Or unplug that Ethernet cable.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm having connection issues. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Dad just stopped paying the bills. And but both Morgan Burkhardt, Jameson Huffman, also Murphy Nichols, all 15 years old, all from the Washington D.C. area, and have definitely been doing quite well. I've known Morgan since he was a little boy, actually since he was born, and he's turned into quite a young man, and some great racing in go-karts, and I'm sure soon enough we'll have Morgan, Murphy, and also Jameson in real race cars as well.
Speaking of being, you know, fast, I mean, he's on top of the board, so Burkhardt got, ooh, that's a tire barrier right there. Get that car reset and get back out on that racetrack.
Yeah, we saw Morgan in the practice, and we give all of our drivers about I think a 70-minute practice leading into qualifying, and we saw Morgan Burkhardt at Drift King go through, come into the roller coaster, turn 14 at the top of the hill, making his way down to the last couple corners on course, and he had that car all kinds of hung out, all kinds of opposite lock, and looked pretty darn neat. Certainly not the fast way around VIR, but pretty good. As we're watching right now, currently second place runner, our points leader currently is Tyler Campbell. And he's still just about 1400s off of Morgan Burkhardt. So that hasn't really changed. That gap hasn't changed for the last 6 minutes or so. But we do have 3 minutes remaining in qualifying here. So a couple more opportunities for Tyler if he can to move up to the pole. But as it stands right now, if qualifying were to end right now, Morgan Burkhardt, driver of the number 40 All Sports Racing machine, would have the pole. Tyler Campbell in the number 37 machine would be second. But let's see as he comes down the straight here and crosses the stripe. I believe that was an outlap for him. So we're going to see here as he makes his way around one more time. Yeah, that last time by turned in a 152 and change. As we jump back now to the number 15, there's Murphy Nichols. And Murphy, let's see where Murphy finished. I believe Murphy got caught up in some of that early race mayhem as well. He had a very problematic evening at Summit Point 3 weeks ago, both in the Pro Formula Mazdas and also in the Spec Racer Fords. He started 7th, he finished 12th. And I believe he was basically fighting car damage the majority of that race, as he still seems to have some issues with maybe some internet connectivity from good old Frederick, Maryland. Things blinking in and out there. As we now check with John Casey, driver of the number 78 machine. And again, just a little bit over a minute remaining here in qualifying. Oh, was that Murphy Nichols that went flying through the grass? There's Stevie Ray. Everybody's going through the grass now. And Stevie Ray goes off coming out of turn 2. Gathers it back up, but this qualifying session is going to be more or less lost And so Stevie Ray currently sitting 10th. I suspect that is going to be the best that he is going to be able to manage here. I may drop another couple positions here on the grid. There's the Drift King, Morgan Burkhardt, having troubles coming through Snake. And he calls off his last lap. So we do still have Tyler Campbell out on course. And he should be, I believe, making his way up towards Oak Tree now. We'll check back in with him in a few moments as we're on with Andrew Thomas Abbott. Races a Formula V in real life here as he makes his way down the hill, down the roller coaster that I was mentioning here just a moment ago, through turns now into turn 17, otherwise known as Hog Pen, drops away, falls away as he now comes up, and he's going to try and see if he can move up and maybe get onto the inside of row number 2. And Abbott crosses the stripe with a 146.788. That is not going to be enough to get past Huffman. Huffman turned in the last time by an identical lap time, but he was sitting on a 146.11.
Yeah, just a pretty good even little bout here. We have, a couple gaps between the timing and scoring, but overall, pretty good laps for everyone.
All right, and Tyler Campbell crosses the stripe, again, bit off the pace at a 147.10, and I don't believe he got across the stripe in enough time to take another lap, but technically qualifying is now over. Flying laps will count. The only drivers that we still show as being on course: Andrew Abbott, Murphy Nichols, also John Casey, Andrew Wozencroft, and the old purple number 700 of Joaquin Effinger, but I believe he has crossed the stripe as well, or he is just about to. Yeah, he's coming down. That's coming down into turn 1, so it looks like he has finished up. He's going to start 14th.
Yeah, good to see Joaquin out here in that 700. I always like purple race cars, Greg, and definitely ones that are just, just super fine, really nice looking. I mean, I'm a sucker for a good car, but purple and yellow would be like the ideal combination for a car, but that still looks pretty sharp.
With the big Tejas out on the side pods of that car, the purple flames. Yeah, it is definitely a very nice looking machine there. As we're waiting for Effinger and Murphy Nichols to head back into the pits, and once they do, we'll get things gridded up for our 20-minute dash to the checkered flag for our Pro Formula Mazdas.
Yeah, 20-minute sprint race, Greg. You got to get a good start, but you got to keep the car clean. I think that's definitely way more important than trying to make up as many passes as you can.
Absolutely. And so, I think one of the keys here, and along those lines, and we'll see this in a few moments when these cars grid up and come down into turn 1 for the very first time, that with a lot of race laps under my belt here at the real VIR, the one thing you don't want to do is get caught out too far to the outside of turns 1 and 2, because it's a long run through the grass back uphill to rejoin your competition. All right, so Avery, why don't you run down the starting grid for our Pro Formula Mazdas?
Well, starting on the pole, one of the 15-year-olds in this race, that's Morgan Burkhardt, and then Drought Racing's Tyler Campbell. He's won before. We'll see if he can win again. Then we have Jamison Huffman 3rd, Andrew Abbott 4th, Murphy Nichols 5th, Justin Huffman 6th, Kyle Vallajos in 7th, Charles Vaccaro 8th, Antonio Guarda in 9th, Stevie Ray from Ray eSports Racing in 10th, Thor Tulo in 11th, John A. Casey 12th, down in 13th place, Andrew Rosencroft, Joaquin Effinger going to bring in 14th, Wayne Buttermore 15th, and Bob Cusera has not quite joined the grid. Hopefully we'll see him today, but if Bob doesn't grid, we got 15 cars on tap for this 20-minute race here at VIR. Let's do some awesome racing with the Ray eSports Racing.
All right, we've got the pace car now bringing the field around for what is a rather long pace lap here at Virginia International Raceway. Again, 3.27 miles. It can sometimes last as much as 3.5, almost 4 minutes. So a couple quick notes. Of course, we have Andrew Abbott starting on row number 2. He was not here, as I think I mentioned, for round 1 at Summit Point Raceway. Thor Tulo, I believe he is here racing with us on the eSports Racing League for the very first time as well. So definitely want to wish Thor luck. He is driving. Which car is he driving?
Oh,
yes, there he is. He's driving the number. He's driving the number 5 machine.
Oh yeah, Red Bull, Tag Heuer, white rims. I mean, that's I like it. I mean, there's really not a car in this series that I don't like.
Yeah, and, you know, even the not even, but you look at the liveries for Burkhardt and Murphy Nichols there. You know, the old Italian flag draped over the cars there. Real neat. Also for Jamison Huffman as well. And you can see there sitting on the inside row, going to have that run down towards turn 1, all from the inside. The 3 teammates there from the All Sports Racing team.
One of my favorite cars in this race. That's bringing up the rear of the field. That's Wayne Buttermore. I tell you what, Greg, if it needs something to brighten your day, that is Wayne's car. I love it. I mean, I like bright colors. I mean, I mean, taste the rainbow.
Yeah, he's doing Bob Ross proud with fluffy little purple and green and blue clouds there. Yeah, it's a real pretty machine. All right, so we've got the pace car now leading the field out of Oak Tree down the long, really rather long back straight here at Virginia International Raceway. You can see as they're going past the South Paddock, this track can be divided up essentially into 2 different courses, a north course and a south course, to run all at the same time. But of course, we are running the full 3.27 miles here. It can also, interestingly enough, also be converted into what they call the grand course, where you just saw the little cutoff there on the back straight, where drivers can make a hairpin turn and then follow along what part of what's known as the Patriot course, and it turns this entire track into a 20, I believe it's 24 turns and 4.7 miles, somewhere along those lines. It's pretty, it's obscene that each lap is about in a lot of these cars turns out to be, you know, almost 4 minutes in length. As we have the pace car bringing the field down through Hog Pen, and it is going to take that very quick right-hand turn onto the pit lane, and our pole sitter Morgan Burkhardt has the field, and he gets underway, and he goes a-flying, and also going a-flying off. That Justin Huffman goes off into the grass. Indeed it was. It was the 223 of Justin. 2 weeks in a row, not a good time for him. We also now have another driver that's gone off. I believe that was Andrew Abbott, number 25 machine. He goes off as well. He's going to drop back through the pack as our leader, Morgan Burkhardt, has Tyler Campbell right behind. And Avery, you know, on that start, it looked like Tyler Campbell kind of got bottled up behind Huffman, Jamison Huffman, and also Murphy Nichols, but he's worked his way back up to the lead, up to second. And maybe the big surprise here, Murphy Nichols, we didn't even catch it. He went off as well. He's now trying to make his way back to the back of the pack.
Yeah, Campbell had a little shaky start in the beginning, but he's right there with Burkhardt. If Morgan wants to win this race, he's got to get on that throttle pedal and pull away, because Tyler Campbell is fast.
And, you know, we're seeing lots and lots of drivers here having problems on cold tires. Going off in South Bend, that's Antonio Guarda, and he's now going to try and rejoin as well. So lots of drivers from the front or mid-pack dropping back, and another one of our drivers has just gone off. That's Jamison, I think that was Jamison Huffman, who went off as well in the number 89 machine, and I'm showing him as being in the pits now, so he may have had some issues. Let's take a look at a replay.
Yeah, not a good day for the Huffmans.
Yeah, and here we go. As Huffman comes through, yeah, he goes off. It goes right into the wall there at Oak Tree. Gathers it up. You can see the damage there to the wing, and it looks like some front suspension damage as well. Huffman now out of the pits, got his one fast repair. He's back on his way as we're on board now with the 25 of Andrew Abbott, the 78 of John Casey. That is the battle for 7th.
Yeah, not the day you wanted it if your last name's Huffman, but you know, right now Justin's the leader of that pack, and that's just right in front of him. Oh, that is Casey.
78 machine of Casey now going off under braking, and you know I think we're seeing a lot of the drivers not getting a lot of heat in the tires first, maybe pushing the car a little hard. But I'll tell you, the braking zone for turn 1 at VIR, pardon me, can be rather treacherous, can be very slick, and it's not uncommon if you have that car maybe just even a couple inches offline to find that you'll have your front wheels just lock up. As we go and we follow our 2 leaders right now, Morgan Burkhardt, driver of the number 40 machine, and Tyler Campbell, our first winner in Pro Mazda this season, as they now come through Oak Tree onto the back straight. Margin now about half a second. So Campbell still definitely in the draft here.
Yeah, Campbell just kind of playing a little cat and mouse right now. Burkhardt going one way. Watch Andrew Abbott going to try to make a move on Thor. We'll see. Side by side.
Yeah, and he's got position as they come around. It's a little left-hand bend as they then come in and set up for turn 14 at the top of the roller coaster. And Andrew Abbott gets that pass done. He moves now back up to 6th. Remember, he started 4th, but had fallen off track on that opening lap and is now trying to make his way back up through the field. Now, here's the big surprise as we watch Wozencroft and Justin Huffman trying to get around Wozencroft, is that Kyle Vallejos, who started in 7th position, he is now sitting in 3rd after all of those drivers found that the grass was perhaps the better way to go than staying on the pavement going into turn 1 to start this race, Avery.
Yeah, speaking of Kyle, I mean, his quickest time is 0.04 of a second or so behind Tyler Campbell, who's got the quickest time of the session. So Kyle's not there because he's, you know, just completely got lucky. He's got a lot of pace, and with that toe in front of him, and if Campbell and Burkhardt start to go side by side, you might make this a 3-way battle for the lead.
Yeah, very good chance of that as we have Burkhardt and Campbell coming through South Bend, making that drop down into turns 10 and 11, Oak Tree and out. You know, although, you know, you can see Campbell all over the back of Morgan Burkhardt, I think trying to get the young man a little conscious of what's going on behind him, maybe drive his mirrors a little bit. You know, as opposed to, say, the MX-5s, with these cars, if you sit in the draft, if you try and sit underneath the gearbox, you will sometimes have issues with front end push. And as some of the dirty air coming off those cars, you know, doesn't go over the front wing, as we watch now a battle between Stevie Ray and Andrew Abbott as Abbott continues his march back up towards the front of the field here, and just saw a lot of brake smoke. Did we have somebody go off right there? No, I don't believe so. Just a little bit of brake lock up at the top of the roller coaster.
Yeah, you got to be super cautious with the brakes here, because, you know, if you lock them up and push off the track, this track is so narrow that you'll be going into the grass and running up into the tires. But fastest lap, look at that, Kyle Vallejos just getting the fastest lap of the session, sitting in 3rd. He's just kind of waiting to pounce.
Yeah, and he's starting to make up a little ground. He was almost 2/10 faster than our 2 leaders that last time by, and you can see he has made up a lot of ground on our 2 leaders, Burkhardt and Campbell, as they make their way through Snake and underneath the pedestrian bridge up towards those very, very difficult uphill S's. You got the left, the right, the left, and then the final right. And if you can stay online and set up the South Bend, all the better. But at speed, it is a very difficult complex as drivers. You know, a lot of these cars will be going north of 130, 140 miles an hour. Oh, as Burkhardt gets a little bit loose on the exit of Oak Tree. We'll see if that affects his exit speed? Doesn't seem to, but Campbell, great run up the hill here past Madison Avenue, and will we have a new leader going into the roller coaster?
Tyler Campbell with a good run, and
And did they
Burkhardt.
touch? Yeah, I don't know if they actually got together there, but you can see great racecraft from Campbell trying to pinch off Morgan Burkhardt, give him as little room as possible as they came around that bend that leads into turn 14 at the top of the roller coaster. And we do have a new leader now in our Pro Formula Mazdas, and that is our round one winner, Tyler Campbell. But Burkhardt, he's not done. Look at this as he comes down the outside.
And Campbell with a little lockup, racing pretty hard with 7.5 minutes into this 20-minute race. I mean, you don't want to lose it with not even halfway through.
All right, and as they come through turn 3 and they go into left hook, you can see that battle is not over. Another one that's been going on now for the last 3 laps. That's Justin Huffman and Antonio Guarda. Justin Huffman trying to make his way back up after having started, I believe, Justin started in 6th position and dropped off course on lap 1, and he now has only about he's got about 0.8 of a second up to Stevie Ray just ahead of him.
Yeah, look at Campbell putting on a good run, still maintaining that lead over Burkhardt, the only 15-year-old left in the race.
And we'll see now as Burkhardt, you can see he is definitely in the draft. He's going to move over driver's left as Campbell came to the center of the track to defend. But Burkhardt with the run, and they're side by side as they go past Madison Avenue, head down in the 14. Burkhardt will have the position going into the roller coaster, and he retakes the lead.
Yeah, look at Campbell. Just kind of, the lead, gave up the lead, but it's early. Still has a good shot for him to make that overtake.
Now he looked a little, I don't want to call it sloppy, but he was a little loose coming down the hill, coming through Oak Tree there, slid across the pavement, and didn't have the greatest of runs, but we're really seeing the effects of the draft with these cars, that they definitely, as long as they don't stay underneath the tail of the car ahead, they can certainly get good runs on, and VIR with 2 very long straightaways, and I guess we could actually call it a 3rd straightaway as they come through here, as they come through turn 5 and then through Snake. Things definitely start to straighten out, and you can certainly get good runs. The problem is here in this section of the course, although technically a straight, you definitely don't want to be too wide at this point right here because you'll end up throwing away all of your speed. And if you have a trailing car, like we've got Kyle Vallejo sitting just out of the draft in 3rd, you can make up a lot of ground there.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you can make up just a lot of ground, or even just a little bit, that's going to really help out. But take a look at Morgan Burkhardt, who's extended that lead to just under 0.6 of a second. So the gap between Burkhardt and Campbell 0.6, and from Campbell to Vallejo's is also 0.6. So we'll see Campbell get a good run though to kind of shrink that up a little bit.
All right, and as they come up to the top of the roller coaster, Campbell just out of range, can't really attack Burkhardt at this point. Burkhardt's opened up a tiny bit of a cushion here for the time being. And all right, let's jump back now to that battle between Stevie Ray and now it's Charles Vaccaro. Remember the last time we watched, it was Stevie Ray and Andrew Abbott. Looks like Charles Vaccaro has made up a position now on Stevie Ray. Vaccaro had been running in 6th. He's now running in 5th as they now make their way down the front straight here over towards turn 1. You can see Andrew Abbott in that red number 24. Well, you can't see it now, but maybe when they come through turn 2 here, there you go. You can see Andrew Abbott just a little bit off in the distance there.
Yeah, Abbott back up to the spot he started. That's 4th, and maybe not have a chance to to move to the podium on speed, but this is a good time. He can click in some good laps and building some confidence, because he's coming back for that Spec Miata race next. I mean, he'll always gotta have some confidence, but back up to the lead, that battle is shrunk.
Yeah, I think a couple of runs down these long straightaways here have allowed Campbell to get back within fighting distance here. Now it's interesting watching these drivers as they come through the turns 10 and 11 complex, basically the right-hander that leads into Oak Tree and then Oak Tree itself. You see sometimes two different approaches. You'll see folks either go and diamond that turn off and make it like a true, almost as if it was two separate turns, or sometimes you'll see drivers go and just give a very big, wide, sweeping arc and make it really make it just a single corner almost. And we see Burkhardt going and doing the diamond thing. We see Campbell rounding it off, and for the most part, it looks, at least right now, like Burkhardt has the slightly more effective entry and exit out of Oak Tree onto that very long back straight.
Yep, just kind of buying his time is Campbell. I mean, you get up into that toe and you can make a move, but that next time around, you've seen Burkhardt did it earlier, took that lead. So we'll see what happens here. But man, Stevie Ray put in a good, strong move on Vaccaro. Vaccaro able to hang on to that position in that final spot in the top 5.
Yeah, and as they go through side by side and start battling a little bit more, you'll notice that Justin Huffman now has joined that battle as well. So it is now a 3-car battle here for 5th.
Great rebound from Justin Huffman, though, after going off track and at the beginning of the first lap and all the way up to 7th. So put on a really good run. Has the opportunity to make up a couple passes on Steve Ray and Vaccaro.
All right, looks like going into the pits now, Antonio Guarda. He had a little moment just a moment ago, and looks like Wozencroft and Guarda were near each other on track. I don't know if they got together or not, but Wozencroft did continue on. Let's take a look here. Oh, and he just lost it going out a left hook into turn 5. The rear end got loose. It's a real difficult corner there. A 90-degree turn. You have to turn in very, very late and essentially go from driver's right back all the way to driver's left so you can set up for turn 5, and he just had the rear end go around on him. As we jump back to this battle between Stevie Ray and Charles Vaccaro with Justin Huffman right behind, and here they come down the front straight. And is Huffman going to be able to get up to that battle as well? He's pretty darn close, and you can see cutting across the inside to protect against Huffman is Stevie Ray, but that move puts him off. Vaccaro goes off as well. Stevie Ray spins the car coming out of turn 2, and that's going to drop him now back into 7th. And Vaccaro seemingly just holds on against Jamison Huffman as they go through left hook.
Yeah, just made both of them kind of were trying to make each other make a mistake, and they both kind of screwed up a little bit. But man, that's Justin Huffman, right place, right time, up to 6th.
And Huffman, and again, Huffman in real life races a Formula Enterprises machine, a chassis that's fairly similar to these Pro Formula Mazdas, and he's again pretty well versed in car setup and how these cars are supposed to be driven. Obviously, a little bit of a translation to the virtual world, but he is starting to make his way back up as we jump back. Speaking of making our way up, back to our leaders, Morgan Burkhardt, with now just 4 minutes remaining in this 20-minute long race. He has the advantage right now over our round 1 winner, Tyler Campbell. And we're jumping back now, and Oh, there we go. Looks like Justin Huffman has managed to get around Charles Vaccaro. Vaccaro locks him up going into turn 14, goes off into the grass, and finally gathers it back up to go down the roller coaster as we jump back to our leaders. And Campbell still all over the back of Morgan Burkhardt.
And just getting close, Campbell. He's within striking distance, Greg. You get one good toe and make a good move, but you know, still a couple more laps left here in this 20-minute race, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and with 3 minutes remaining, they should be getting, I believe, they'll be getting the one to go board probably the next time by. Or get that waving white flag, I guess. I'm thinking of SCCA road racing, where they'll commonly show a number 1 to signify 1 lap remaining. But Burkhardt gets a good run out of Oak Tree. He's got about a 2.5, almost 3 car length advantage right now over Tyler Campbell as they come down Madison Avenue. Campbell, though, he's in the draft. He's only about 3/10 back, but I don't think he's going to, at least this time, going to be close enough to take advantage of it. He's got to be late on the brakes, though.
Yep, Campbell still in striking distance. He's gonna have to give it all he's got if he wants to get around the young Morgan Burkhardt.
All right, with just now over 2 minutes to go, looks like we're going to have 2 laps remaining here. So next time by, either Tyler Campbell or Morgan Burkhardt will get the white flag signifying 1 lap remaining. But they are now heading out of turn 2, and they're starting to come up on some slower traffic, it looked like there, Avery. I think that might be, is that Effinger up ahead of him, I think?
That's at 700 of Effinger, yep, the purple power.
Yep.
Burkhardt was able to extend that lead a little bit, but with that toe, Campbell.
Yeah, it's Casey they're coming up
John
on.
Casey, yep.
Yeah, as they go up through the S's now, we'll see what Casey decides to do. We may be in a pretty good position here where our 2 leaders might not get to him until they come down onto onto the back straight, but nope, not so much the case there. All right, so Casey pulls all the way to the inside to allow our leaders to go through, but you'll notice as they did that, Tyler Campbell had to run wide coming out of Oak Tree. That Casey got pretty darn close to the apex over there, so lost a little bit of ground. But Burkhardt now trying to take advantage of that predicament that Casey was in, but Casey's making up some ground here under the draft, going into, oh, and Burkhardt, the Drift King. Did I not talk about this during practice, that Morgan Burkhardt had issues going through 14, had the rear end hanging out, and Burkhardt now, after having led the race, drops down into 3rd position. He falls behind Kyle Vallejos in the number 35 machine, who started off in 7th position. Started off on the 4th row today, and we'll see if Vallejos, with the white flag in the air, can hold off Morgan Burkhardt for 2nd.
Yeah, Campbell was coming. He brought it within 0.2 of a second. That pushed Burkhardt to make that mistake. We'll see if Morgan will be able to take over Vallejos' spot. I mean, Kyle showed a lot of speed, but Morgan's driving with a little more sense of urgency after spinning out in the lead.
Sense of urgency and a sense of anger, maybe, as
well.
Yeah. Little red mist there. We'll have to watch. But so far, Kyle Vallejos, he's holding his line. And he's not driving very defensively as of yet. Well, now he is. As Burkhardt's going to try to come down the inside, going into the S's, cannot get it done. He's going to have to follow Vallejos up the uphill S's as our leader Tyler Campbell comes through Oak Tree for the very last time. And so Burkhardt now all over the back of Vallejos. In as long as he can get a good exit here, he might be in a good position to draft up and make that pass that we've seen a couple of times already today up at the top of the roller coaster. But so far, Burkhardt maybe a little bit further back They are right behind, and you'll notice they are right behind the 78 car of John Casey. Once again, there's Burkhardt. He moves to the inside. The driver's left. Now, that is not the preferred position going in the 14. Locks the brakes up, and Vallejos goes down the hill side by side with Burkhardt, but he yields, and Vallejos runs off track, and that is going to give Morgan Burkhardt second place as our winner tonight for the second week in a row in Pro Formula Mazda. Tyler Campbell crosses the finish line. And here we go. Finishing second will be Morgan Burkhardt. Finishing in third, Kyle Vallejos.
Yeah, what a stellar run for Kyle Vallejos. I mean, you come from the 4th row to a podium spot, and he was showing a lot of speed. There's Stevie Ray going to end up in 6th place, gained 4 spots. Real good run for him.
Yeah, we saw Charles Vaccaro going off at the top of the roller coaster on the last lap in a battle with Stevie Ray that seemingly went on for the majority of this race. And there we go. There's Stevie Ray. There's the money shot. It's almost as if he knew we were watching. And there we go. There is our winner tonight, Tyler Campbell. And we can't say pole to checker this time by. He started off on the outside of the front row, but Tyler Campbell ran a very strong race. Gets by Morgan Burkhardt with a lap and a half left to go in this 20-minute sprint, and he takes the win.
Yeah, what a stellar run here. We got another race coming up soon, Greg.
That's absolutely right. So we're gonna let Tyler go finish his cool-down lap here, and then we'll bring in some of our podium finishers. As a matter of fact, we've got one of them here right now. Let's go, Avery. I'm going to hand you right off to Morgan Burkhardt, finishing second tonight in Pro Formula Mazda.
Hey, Morgan, congrats on a great finish. My first question for you, what's it like being the fastest 15-year-old in the Pro Mazda today?
That's a really good feeling, you know. I could definitely get used to it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you put on a really good effort, and Tyler was battling you the whole race, and it comes down to that last lap. He had a big run, and he kind of just went a little off track a little bit, but I mean that was a great battle. But try to describe how great that battle was between you and Tyler throughout that whole race.
It was definitely a good battle. You know, he's a clean racer, and we can definitely race it hard. And it was just trying to, because I know he's just a little bit quicker on race pace than me, so just trying to keep him behind for the whole race. And when he got around me, it was just trying to get around him as quickly as possible, and then maintain gaps and get the best runs I possibly could have out of Oak Tree and Hogpen.
Absolutely. Before we let you go and let you get back into the practice session for the Mazda, who would you like to thank?
I would like to thank my parents and my grandparents for making all of this possible. Thank you to Jamison and Murphy. They had a bit of bad luck today, but should be better next week.
Yeah.
And
well, someone's got to be the fastest 15-year-old in the race, and that was you, Morgan. Congrats, and we'll see you in just a little bit.
Thank you.
All right, there was Morgan Burkhardt finishing second tonight in Pro Formula Mazda. And now let's move back to our two-time winner in Pro Formula Mazda, Tyler Campbell.
Hey guys, I think
that's
it's
got a
working
pretty
this
good
time.
ring.
Yeah, I like it. I'm about it.
Yeah, man, Tyler. We talk about speed. That was you and Morgan, kind of the class of the field for most of this race. You made a strong move to get by him early in the race. He got around you. What was your mindset going into that final lap?
Yeah, I think my mindset actually for the, once I saw that was pretty much going to be the person in second is going to be the person in first, and the checkered flag there with that long back straight. It's got a really strong draft there. So it's about, you could probably make up more than half a second there. So I was just kind of sitting back. If he makes a mistake, he makes a mistake, which fortunately he ended up doing, but that was kind of the plan.
Yeah, the plan was played to perfection by you, Tyler. And these Pro Mazdas, get a really good race here with the eSports series. You won Summit Point, you won VIR. What's the chances of you going 3 in a row?
Ooh, I mean, we'll have to see. It depends on I know Morgan's running both series, which is really impressive. I definitely tried that the last season, and it was not fun. It was very difficult to jump between both or all three even. So we'll see. We'll see if any of the other fast guys come out, and if I can get enough laps. I mean, that's really it. Is just you get the track time in, and that's how you get consistent.
Awesome. You got anything for him, Greg?
Well, first off, congratulations. I think you actually covered it. The draft on the back straight, really, I want to say extreme, but you could make up at least 3 to 4 tenths of a second, seemingly every single lap. And maybe you heard me talking about Morgan during the practice session, because he had the same kind of problems there up at the top of the roller coaster in practice as he did in the race. So I guess probably the best thing that I could say is a great job on being there and biding your time and running a great strategy tonight, Tyler, pardon me.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the wonderful broadcast as always. And I'd like to just thank my wife while I'm here, because she's the one who allows me to be here every night. She's sitting over here showing me some signs, but I appreciate it, guys.
Excellent.
Thanks, Tyler's wife.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler's wife. All right, so that is Tyler Campbell, winner tonight in the Pro Formula Mazda. And before we take a quick break to thank some of our great sponsors, I also wanted to thank our presenting sponsor for tonight's race, and that is RaceVoice. They've got a great system for both the real and virtual worlds. For your real car, you can hook it up to an AIM or Motec data acquisition system and get audible feedback as to what your car is doing while you're on track. And then they've got similar systems for the virtual world as well. So thank you, RaceVoice, for sponsoring our first race of the evening. And with that, we're going to take a quick break, get set up for race number 2 here on the Ray Esports Racing League. That is Mazda MX-5s. We'll be back with you in just a few moments.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
And we're back here at Virginia International Raceway for the Ray Esports Racing League. I'm Greg Ginsburg with Dennis Branch on the controls, and of course Avery McDonald here with me in the booth. And we're now looking at qualifying for our Mazda MX-5s. They're going to be our second race, and they're going to be coming up and taking the green flag here in just a few moments. But while we still have a couple minutes to go in their qualifying session, let's take a quick look at the Ray Esports Spec Racer Ford competition here. They had their second round last week at Laguna Seca. Taking the win was Zach Burke. That was his second win in the series. He also won the previous week at Summit Point Raceway in the Crash Fest, as I like to call it, in Spec Racer Ford. Although honestly, Avery, I don't think the start at Laguna Seca was all that much different. We had a lot of cars off on the run down to the Andretti hairpin on lap 1 at Laguna as well. Stevie Ray, who we saw just a few moments ago, and there he is right now. Well, there he isn't right there, but he's running, I think, in 17th right now here in the MX-5s. Stevie Ray took home second at Laguna. Richard Spicer finished in third, took the last step on the podium, and our good announcing buddy, Larry McLeod, stepped in, actually led a number of laps, brought the car home in fourth after having a great battle with a couple laps to go with Stevie Ray. And so if we take a look at the points after 2 rounds, Zach Burke with those 2 wins is your current points leader with an advantage of 11 points over Stevie Ray. Morgan Burkhardt, who we just spoke to a few moments ago, is currently sitting third in the points in Spec Racer Ford, but that is almost 20 points down from our leader, then Elias Roman and Andrew Wozencroft running out the top 5. So let's jump over now to the Mazdas with I believe we have sitting at the top right now, our provisional pole sitter is Jack Tranter, with Justin Hilly in the number 48 machine running second fastest. He's sitting in the pits right now. Justin Hilly is a Spec Miata racer in real life, as is Jack Tranter. So good to see them out here and running. There you go. There's the timing pylon. And let's take a quick look back. Last week was the first round for our Mazda MX-5s. They were at Laguna Seca, and taking the win was Jack Tranter, with Zach Burke finishing second. His teammate Mitchell Peak finishing in third. And then we had Henry Morris and Murphy Nichols finishing in fifth, and we'll see if Murphy can get a little redemption after that problematic first race of the evening tonight. All right, so we've got just about half a minute left to go in qualifying, and as we mentioned, Jack Tranter, currently your provisional pole sitter, has a margin of, I believe, 0.12 of a second. Elias Roman, currently your third fastest driver on track. He is sitting, I believe, 0.2 back from our pole sitter, and then Bob Kucera and Mitchell Peak. And we have Peak and Burke there, seemingly always nose to tail, the two teammates. I believe those are the two GB Racing entries. And as time now expires, last flying laps will count. And there's Murphy Nichols. Out on track. Murphy currently sitting 20th in the field, a lot further back than I think he would prefer, but I believe he did get across the stripe prior to the checkered flag being displayed, so he now is on what is his last flying lap here at VIR in the Smoketown Brewing machine. And we'll follow Murphy here just a little bit. Sitting right behind him was the number 35 machine of Kyle Vallejos. We just saw Kyle take home a podium in the Pro Formula Mazdas. Looks like he's going to call off his last flying lap.
Yeah, look at Jack Tranter. Oh, locked the brakes up a little bit, but quickest driver on. Oh, he. Oh. You hate to see it.
Yeah, as Tranter, I think he had that brake lock up at the top of the roller coaster, realized he wasn't going to put in a fast lap, and you know, he did what you can do in virtual racing versus real racing.
Yeah, you make a mistake and just boom, hit the wall because I'm mad.
Yeah, in the real world, you toss away a qualifying lap. You don't just point the car straight at the wall. All right, so we're taking a look now. Coming down the back straight, this is the 43 of Antonio Guarda, and I believe he is still on a flyer. I don't believe the checkered flag came out before he crossed the start-finish line, so let's take a look here as he comes down the hill. And he comes through Hog Pen and crosses the stripe as he advances. And no, Guarda is going to stay where he is, 21st overall.
Speaking of advancing, Murphy Nichols moved up to the top 10 in 10th.
There you go, and he's going to be pretty darn close. He's going to actually start right behind his teammate, Morgan Burkhardt. All right, so as the drivers now get all ready to go for, and we have I think we still have Bryce Evans out on track. He should be coming into the pits soon enough. I believe that that last lap of his was complete in the 311 car. We should be having our drivers grid up here momentarily. And this race is brought to you by Driver61. Driver61 provides on-track coaching both in the real and virtual world, and you can check out their services at driver61.com. All right, so now I believe we're going to get ready here and have our drivers start to grid up on the front straight to take their pace lap, and then it is a 20-minute race to the checkered flag. Here they go. They're getting on track right now as you get that beautiful view of the oak tree. And your pole sitter today is going to be Jack Tranter with a fast lap of 2:08.689, 1200ths off of that. Justin Hilly will start right beside him on the outside of the front row. Elias Roman will start on the inside of row 2 with Bob Kucera. right beside him, then the two teammates from Team Esport Racer, Mitchell Peak and Zach Burke, Brennan Horn and Morgan Burkhardt will make up row 4. Then Greg Mack in the number 2 machine will line up right beside Murphy Nichols in that Smoketown Brewing entry to make up row number 5. Then we've got Richard Spicer and Jordy Fike starting 11th and 12th. And then we've got Brian Hartz, and I believe this might be Brian's first time racing with us here on the Ray Esports Racing League. Kyle Vallejos, who just captured that podium in Pro Formula Mazda, will start on the outside of row number 7. Then we've got Tom Pendergrass and Greg Brockway, Bryce Evans and Stevie Ray, Andrew Rosencroft and Charles Vaccaro, Antonio Guarda, and Joe Camilleri. Good to see Joe here. Joe races a H-Production Volkswagen Scirocco in club racing. He will start 22nd. And then we've got Wayne Buttermore and John Casey. And I believe, because this is a pretty darn field, we're not done yet. Starting 25th today will be Thor Tulo, who we just saw a few moments ago, as well as Joaquin Effinger. And a little bit surprising that he's not here and not gridded up, Jamison Huffman in the number 89 machine.
Yeah, still waiting on Huffman. About 10 seconds to go. We'll see if he's going to get on the grid or maybe start from the pits.
Maybe start from the pit lane, exactly, as the pace car now has Jack Tranter and Justin Hilly under tow here on the front straight. They're going to try and get some heat in the tires. I would expect that we won't see some of the issues with cold tires, cars driving off track, perhaps a lot of early brake lockups that we saw in the Pro Formula Mazdas here with the Mazda MX-5s.
Just a little long, little pace lap.
And so, you know, when we talked about, when we were talking to our Pro Formula Mazda winner, talking to Tyler Campbell, you know, he mentioned the effect that the draft had on those Formula cars down the back straight. Certainly in Spec Miata or the Mazda MX-5s, that back straight has the same effect here as well. You know, and you know, the thing that you have to always look for is for somebody to try and step to the inside to try and make that quick pass going into 14. And you know, we saw during that last race where Tyler Campbell early on was getting first when he was under attack, would get very defensive, come down center of track, and then when he was attempting the pass, he would do everything that he could to pinch Morgan Burkhardt's entry into the roller coaster off. And so we'll probably see that again here, especially with two drivers very well versed in Spec Miata. We'll probably see that from Tranter and Hilly quite a bit. But Avery, I would suspect also that we will likely see those two drivers at the front of the field try to separate themselves out from Elias Roman and the pairing of Peak and Burke that always seem to be attached at the hip.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is a track with the strong toe on that straightaway right here. You see, you got to get away from the drivers behind you, otherwise it's going to be a train of cars, and that's just going to lead to some very aggressive racing. So my key to this race, 1, keeping the car clean, and 2, getting out as far away from the drivers behind you, not trying to battle too much side by side, even though it does get kind of tempting.
All right, there you go. You can see the 21 of Jack Tranter, our pole sitter, doing some last-minute tire scrubbing, trying to get some heat in those tires. I have been watching. You can see there Peak and Burke and also Brennan Horn getting into the brakes on those cars to try and get some heat, try to get heat into the brakes themselves. That also will help heat up the wheels, which in turn will heat up the tires. And so, you know, again, hopefully we'll see some of these drivers more prepared, let's say, for lap 1 than we saw in the Pro Formula Mazdas, as almost like a real race at VIR, not necessarily the tightest pack, big separation there halfway down the field, but Jack Tranter, Justin Hilly leading the field now out of hog pen onto the front straight, and our two drivers from the front row, they are on it and they are gone. as the green flag now is displayed to the rest of the field. And taking the early lead down into turn 1 is Jack Tranter, directly behind the number 48 of Hilly. And here coming down the inside, Mitchell Peak trying to get around Bob Kucera. And there we go, brake lockup. And what did I just say about having a clean first lap? That is a huge, huge debacle there, as we've got about half the field at a dead standstill. It looks like Kyle Vallejos, Greg Mack, Zach Burke involved. Let's see who else. Bob Kucera involved in the number 45 machine. As our 2 leaders managed to get away, one of the drivers who made up a number of positions here, Tom Pendergrass, he is now sitting up in 5th place. He made up 10 positions, and you can see right just ahead of them, side by side, we've got Morgan Burkhardt in the number 40 machine, battling it out with Elias Roman in the 023 for 3rd position, as our 2 leaders, Tranter and Hilly, try to escape the rest of the field.
Yeah, that was what you call the big one here at VIR. It was the big one, and you know, with a minute and a half into this race, a couple drivers are pretty much out. Take a look at replay.
Let's take a look at it from the rear here, and we had Peak come down the inside. We can see the 45 machine and Peak get together. That was Bob Kucera. Kucera was on the brakes, trying to peek underneath Tranter and Hilly, and that started the very large accordion effect there. As we're watching now, and this is Stevie Ray in the number 11 car, gets around Jordy Fike. Stevie Ray now has made up 12 positions. He's now up to 6th, having started in 18th.
Yeah, good. Up 12 spots for him. Great stuff for him, but he's still got a handful. There's that Jordy Fike gonna make a move. Murphy Nichols might try to make a move. Got Apex Racing TV on the bumper of that car, so good to see that.
Yeah, Murphy was maybe a little bit too far back to push the car underneath Stevie Ray, but he's right there now, right behind him. Brian Hart's in that green and yellow machine, and it is a 4-car battle now here for 4-car battle for 6th. And if we jump back up to the front of the field, we can see here our 2 leaders, Tranter and Hilly. They have not been able to shake Elias Roman as of yet. Roman may be right on the edge of the draft. If he stays that same distance back when they get out of Oak Tree, might not be in the draft there, but you can see Tranter and Hilly locked nose to tail, hanging those Mazda MX-5s out. Oh, it's Stevie Ray, who we just talked about, who was moving up through the field. Let's take a look at the replay here as they come through. That's turn 5 and get set up for Snake. And you can see he bounces over the curb and he just loses the car. Bounces off the tire wall, and he's now back into the pits trying to get his quick repair. All right, so we jump back up to the lead now as both Tranter and Hilly come out of the south paddock and head up towards the top of the roller coaster, turn 14, locked inches apart. Avery, watch this racing.
Yeah, they're, by inches. Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see the brakes there from Tranter coming down the hill, setting up for Hog Pen. And Hilly seemed to handle it with aplomb. He didn't go and crash right into the guy, and it's managed to maintain his distance. But you can see now Justin Hilly all over the back of our leader, Jack Tranter, as they now come under braking down into turn 1.
Yeah, Tranter and Hilly, pretty much have pulled away, but Roman still has a shot to make it a 3-way battle if those drivers can start to go a little more side by side.
All right, a little bit further in the pack was just watching Brennan Horan. His bad day continues on as Horan falls off the track. He is now down 12 positions from the start. He got caught up in that melee. You know, everybody from about the third or fourth row back ended up in it. I think one of the few survivors was Morgan Burkhardt, who was running in 8th and somehow managed to avoid all of the carnage at the start there. As we jump back to our leaders coming through the uphill S's and setting up for South Bend. And, you know, you watch the dance of these cars, and Hilly dropping a wheel coming out of South Bend. But Avery, you know, you've got as these cars drift all over, both in and out of corners. But I like watching the brake lights. When we have these two drivers, you know, or many drivers that work so well in the draft, and they're, you know, within, in many cases, just a couple of inches, to see what the difference in their brake points are. And then typically, and as I've been watching Tranter and Hilly, you know, there are mere milliseconds that separate when one is on the brakes versus another being on the brakes, that they're running almost identical laps here at VIR.
Yeah, they're just giving everything they got. Starting to pull away a little bit from Roman at 3rd. At about a second gap between, you know, Hilly and Roman. So, now, I mean, they're just pulling away a little bit.
Yeah, now if you notice there, now the previous lap we talked about Tranter getting into the brakes, coming through 17 and Hogpen, and he did it again this time by, and I noticed that Hilly wasn't on the brakes, but still kept up, you know, kept primarily the same distance. And so I'm sure, you know, it's more of a confidence brake, maybe a quick little brush of the brake pedal from Tranter, but Hilly not doing it, but Hilly isn't having to check up any, I guess is the point there, where it's not impacting his drive down the hill.
Yeah, so back to this battle with Brockway, battle for 12th position. Let's see if he can get up to Bryce Evans. There's Thor. We saw him earlier today in the Pro Mazda. And this battle for 12th is hot. This is on fire. You're going to be seeing some great racing like always with this series. Always lots of little small battles. Dennis is getting us the shots and showing us what we need to see. And man, this is, Greg, this is the race that you get once you get a couple laps in.
Exactly. I mean, the great thing about watching MX5 racing, much like Spec Miata racing, is, you know, you can have a field that's 25 cars deep or 50 cars deep, and there's always somebody to race with. And right now, Greg Brockway, who made up 3 positions since the start of the race, and Bryce Evans in the 311, who's made up 5 positions, are pretty much nose to tail, and as you can tell under race pace, very, very closely matched. And then right behind them, as you mentioned, we've got Thor Tulo with, here for his first weekend or first week on the Ray Esports Racing League, and he made up 11 positions on the start. And so far, holding pretty close quarters with those drivers ahead. As we jump back up to the lead, as they come down the roller coaster once again, and let's watch it. They see we switched away from that view. Wanted to see if Tranter got into the brakes again, but Justin Hilly right on his tail. Hilly for the moment peeking to the inside just a little bit, wondering if he's going to make that move or not. He gets off the throttle, gives himself just enough room as they come in, nose to tail under braking into turn 1. And and I think this is something that Hilly saw the last time by, is that Tranter runs a little bit, he turns in maybe a little bit early at turn 1, runs a little bit wide as they go into turn 2, and Hilly was almost able to sneak underneath there, but I think Justin Hilly may have just had enough of Jack Tranter as they come down through turn 5, that he's started to put himself, make a big red Miata in the rearview mirror of Mr. Tranter right now.
Yep, right there on that bumper is Hilly. Let's see if he's gonna. Oh man, they're just getting through these corners so good. Got to find a good opportunity to make the pass, and man, I'd be really nervous if I was Jack Tranter to have a car that close to you. I don't think he's gonna get into him, but just to having that car that close, it definitely would get me nervous.
All right, and that last time as they came through South Bend, Avery, noticed the rear end of Jack Tranter's car step out quite a bit. I don't think he's run off the rear tires trying to keep Hilly behind him as we are now just past halfway in this 20-minute race. But I think Hilly is definitely dictating the pace right now in that battle for the lead as we move back just a little bit to Tom Pendergrass, Jordy Fike, and Murphy Nichols in the Smoketown Brewing car. And I would say that Murphy's probably closer to the rear bumper of Mr. Fike than he is to kissing a girl. But let's see here as they come now into the top of the roller coaster. And like the look of Mr. Pendergrass's car, he's got the Alpine paint scheme that what used to be the Renault Formula One team, now Alpine, has been sporting this year. And really pretty car as Murphy Nichols gets around Tom Pendergrass and moves up to 6th.
Yeah, Murphy Nichols put on a really good show, up 4 spots, and Pendergrass, I tell you what, up 10 spots. A good run for him. Brennan Horn also put on a really good show. He's really good at, taking some good sim racing pictures. I know that for sure.
Yes.
But oh man, I tell you what, he's also really good at wheeling this Mazda around this track. He's right behind Zach Burke, and Zach Burke is one of the quickest guys I've seen in this series in the Mazda. And when you're close to him, you're doing something right.
Yeah, and of course Zach, and this is I think going to be a little bit of a disappointment for him this week. There we go, as Zach gets by the number 65 machine. So move him around Richard Spicer, and Horn gets around Spicer as well. Of course, Burke having finished on the 2nd step of the podium last week at Laguna Seca. Of course, Jack Tranter was our winner last week at Laguna Seca. But with Burke now sitting all the way back in 15th position after that really disastrous first corner, I'm sure he's going to be looking back on what he could have done a little bit differently.
Oh, look at that. Here we go.
Yeah, look at this now, as Jack Tranter has separated himself out from Justin Hilly, and Elias Roman has gotten back into the game here. Roman had been sitting about 10 car lengths off of our 2 leaders, and as they came out of Oak Tree, he was in position to take over 2nd place from Justin Hilly. Hilly, though, with a good entry into 14, and he, for the time being, has held off that attack. But I'm wondering what might have happened that Hilly fell back so far from our leader, Tranter.
Yeah, I mean, fell back a little bit, but still a good striking distance. But look at this battle for 5th. It's Pendergrass, Fike, Nichols.
And Murphy Nichols is trying to find where to go, as he had gotten around Pendergrass earlier. Let's take a quick look back here, and here is the run from under braking now going into, and there it is as he goes wide going into the roller coaster. There you go, Justin Hilly driving off course, and that tells us all that we need to know, as he was actually making his way back around Elias Roman to work his way back up into 2nd. All right, so let's jump back into that battle for 5th. We've got Tom Pendergrass in that Alpine liveried Miata or MX-5. Then we've got Jordy Fike in the 09, and then Murphy Nichols. And Jordy Fike, I'm trying to remember if Jordy actually ran with us last weekend. Yes, he did. Jordy finished 6th last week at Laguna Seca, had started in 10th.
Yeah, good to see him back out here up into the 6th spot, and real close. Jordy Fike is up to Pendergrass, and Nichols is all over Fike too. So I mean, this is the battle we've been waiting to see. A little bit of damage for Nichols in that 5 car. Take a look at from the nose of Jordy Fike, and I tell you, Jordy's getting a good run. Was he going to make a little bump draft? No, going to try to make the pass.
All right, as they're side by side going in the 14, and already as they bend it, and there's contact between the two drivers, and Murphy Nichols, the trailing car, gets into them as well. And so Pendergrass, you can see him right there in the grass on the outside of 14. He gets together with Murphy Nichols. Also involved in that, as we mentioned, was Zach Burke in the number 13 machine as they went side by side in the 14. And take a look there is Burke, as he took the wild ride through the grass, actually managed to get the car straightened up and continue on. So Burke loses a few more positions. He's now back down into 12th. But as we jump back to the battle for the lead, with just about 4 minutes remaining here in this 20-minute sprint race, Jack Tranter with a 6-car length lead over our second place runner, the number 48 of Justin Hilly, as they're both starting to make their way through traffic here. And that slower car lets our top 3 drivers by. And now we saw the 14 in the Alpine livery, but we also have the 43 of Antonio Guarda, and he gets by the number 221 of Charles Vaccaro, that being the battle for 7th. Now, driver we haven't talked much about, and of course we talked to him just a few moments before this race began, Morgan Burkhardt in the number 40 machine. He's run a very quiet race back in 4th, and you can see he's all by himself there, seemingly the entire back straight to himself here at VIR. He is currently running about 8 seconds off of Elias Roman in 3rd. He's running 13 seconds ahead of Brian Hartz in the number 42 machine, who is currently running in 5th. But again, Burkhardt was running 8th when that melee happened on the first lap, and he was lucky to escape it all, and he's taken advantage of it and just run a very smooth race here. Looking and hoping maybe that one of the drivers currently battling it out for a podium won't finish, or won't finish cleanly, and maybe he can take over another position. As we go side by side, now going into the roller coaster, Vaccaro getting by Antonio Guarda. So move Guarda down to 8th, move Vaccaro back up to 7th, as we are now just 2.5 minutes away from the checkered flag.
Yeah, real good run here. We'll take a look at Brendan Horn. He's got that Richard Spicer car right on his tail. And, I mean, that's a battle for 13th, and it's been on fire for the last, well, probably 4 or 5 laps. And Horn doing a good job with that pressure from Spicer.
And for the moment, he's managed to hold him off, but Spicer's in the draft. And as they come through that little kink on the front straight, let's see if Spicer will step to the inside. He might not have to, because Horn gets very defensive coming down the front straight. That's not necessarily the most optimal entry into turn 1, but he manages to hold off Richard Spicer.
Yep, good pace for Horn there. I mean, Spicer really put on a good effort. It's not letting Brennan just to keep that 13th place, is making him work for it.
All right, so with just about 1 minute remaining, in our leader, Jack Tranter, with over a second advantage over Justin Hilly, and then Elias Roman a couple seconds back from there. They're making their way down the roller coaster, and so this time by, Jack Tranter should be getting the white flag, signifying 1 lap to go. And you know, it's amazing just watching them throw these cars over the curbing and the roller coaster. I in real life, I've done that with the Honda CRX, and I'll tell you, it's just an amazing feeling. It just feels like you're sliding down a hill sideways. All right, let's jump back. This is the battle between Guarda and Vaccaro that's been going on for a number of laps there, and once again swapping positions as Antonio Guarda moves up to 7th in his Alpine liveried machine. Charles Vaccaro, the 221, drops down into 8th as we throw up our track map here, and our leader, Jack Tranter just now going through left hook through turn 4. We'll check back in with him in a moment. Well, we'll check back in with him now as he comes through turn 4 and 5 and through Snake, and he's still got Justin Hilly about 8 car lengths back. They do have some traffic coming up on them that might affect things, but this time it looks like our leader Tranter, who is on pace right now to win 2 weekends in a row, might not have to deal with that traffic until the back straight. That slower traffic being Stevie Ray, having gotten his car repaired after that unfortunate impact with the wall coming through turn 5. But Tranter now comes through that iconic oak tree turn for the very last time, Avery.
Man, Tranter putting on a real good clinic here. Far enough away from Hilly where the toe doesn't really affect him. He's got to get around Stevie Ray. Well, he doesn't have to, but probably very benefit him very much.
Yeah, I guess it's a question of whether or not Stevie Ray wants to take another lap or not.
I'd definitely take the lap off.
There you go. And so Stevie Ray lets our leader Jack Tranter by as he makes his way down the roller coaster here at VIR, still with about an 8, maybe 9 car advantage over second place runner and another driver who started out on the front row, Justin Hilly. And they come now onto the front straight. And there you go. If Tranter doesn't lose the car on the last lap on the front straight, he's going to take the win, and he does. Our winner for the 2nd week in a row in Mazda MX-5 on the Ray eSports Racing League is Jack Tranter. Justin Hilly will bring the car home in 2nd. Elias Roman will finish in 3rd. Morgan Burkhardt, as we mentioned with that very quiet race, will finish in 4th. Let's jump back a little bit as we wait for Hartz and Fike to cross the stripe to the battle for 7th between Guarda and Vaccaro. And looks like Antonio Guarda might have gotten the best of Charles Vaccaro, and he does as they come down the front straight. Guarda will finish 7th, Vaccaro 8th. And then a little bit further back from there, we're watching Richard Spicer and Brennan Horan. A little further back is Wozencroft, Burke, and Brockway cross the stripe. And there you go, Richard Spicer not able to get around Brennan Horan. Horan's going to bring the car home 13th, Spicer in 14th. And if we, and look at that. Look at that. Looks like Tranter and Hilly might have had a little post-race celebration that involved body parts. And that sounds kind of kinky, I know, but there you go. All right, so we've got our drivers back. And it looks like most of our drivers have crossed the line. As we mentioned, Tranter, Hilly, Roman Burkhardt, Hartz, Fike, Guarda, Vaccaro, Wozencroft, and Zach Burke making his way back up 10th. That rounds out the top 10. Hard charger of the race, Antonio Guarda makes up 14 positions tonight. Great run from Antonio Guarda. So let's see if we've got somebody that we can bring in for an interview. I'm sure Avery's chomping at the bit to talk to Justin Hilly and Jack Tranter. We'll see if we can get them in.
Not quite here. Just keep in mind, if you are watching this later, join the Apex Discord if you finish on the podium for a post-race interview, and we'll get you in when that happens. But looks like no one's likes to talk to me, Greg.
Here we go. We got both of them. All right, so let's bring in Justin Hilly, finishing 2nd tonight, Avery, and let's get his feeling on tonight's race.
Hey, Justin, congrats on a strong podium run. You were in the top 3 the whole entire race. Take us through how difficult this race was with the Mazda MX-5 here at VIR.
Hey, thank you, Avery. Yeah, it was really difficult. Jack is one hell of an iRacer. So anytime he shows up, it's basically just trying to stay in his draft most of the time. So that's what I did. And Elias hang on there for a little while, and that made it interesting. And I made a few mistakes here and there, and just couldn't hang on. So it was tough.
Yeah, it was a tough field today. Lots of good competitors. You know, a lot of them were taken out in the first lap wreck, but man, once you got in a groove, you just kind of stay in that top 3 and put on a really good effort. You know, we've had some good races here. This MX5, and then so next week, or not next, I believe it's an off week for the MX5, but we have Mid Ohio, the Roval, tracks like Lime Rock and Sonoma, so some really famous tracks. I mean, is there anyone in
And I was
particular
gonna
you're
say,
coming to?
I was going to say Justin ought to be right at home at Mid Ohio, isn't that right, Justin?
Yeah. Yep. I am. I definitely look forward to that as a track I know very well.
Awesome. That's a fun track to watch. For me, it's not a fun track to race because I'm going off into every gravel pit, grass. I mean, I always mowing the grass there. So, but man, once again, great run. But before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, Jack for sure. Jack's given me a lot of help, and following him around, able to stay up in that pack, and he's a big one to thank for it.
Awesome. It's great to have, you know, you get a fast guy and you're able to hang on. And once again, great run, Justin. Hopefully see you again next time.
Thank you very much. See ya.
All right, that was Justin Hilly finishing second tonight in Mazda MX-5. So let's bring in, bring in Elias Roman, finished third tonight here in Mazda MX-5. Avery?
Hey, Elias Roman, congrats on a great podium finish here. You started third, you finished third. You guys kind of drove away from the rest of the field. How were you able to hang on for that?
I kind of did get lucky because literally I looked at my rearview mirror at the apex of turn 1 and just saw Armageddon, almost like Laguna Seca. But luckily I wasn't caught up in it this time. I was on the good end of it. Yeah. Then from there, I was just hanging on to Justin and Jack just to see if any opportunities arose himself, and it did. But then Justin was just too quick. So I figured let him back by me. I'll just hang on to him. But yeah, that piece was outstanding. So I'm happy with third regardless.
Oh yeah, you definitely. I mean, you were in the right spot at the right time for here at VIR, and you know you capitalized on your opportunity and finished a strong podium finish. But yeah, man, great run. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I actually want to thank Jack because he helped me up with the setup and shared his setup. So I was definitely on pace. Thanks to him. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting the race. The coverage is great. And thanks to Stevie Ray for organizing these.
Yeah, Steve does a great job, man. Congrats on a great race, man. We'll hopefully catch up with you in the next one.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, that was Elias Roman finishing third tonight in Mazda MX-5. And so finally, let's bring in apparently the not only the two-time winner, but also the driver who is sharing setup so that everybody else can finish on the podium. It's Jack Tranter. Avery?
Hey Jack, well, man, once again, congrats on a big win here at VIR. And you know, Justin and Elias kind of said it right. Says you were the fast guy, and they were just happy to hang on, man. You led from wire to wire. How was that race from your eyes?
It was good. I mean, Justin's always a tough customer to race against. You know, he's a close friend of mine. We race a lot on here, so we really know how each other drive. So we were able to race pretty close for a while until I think going into the roller coaster there that one time. I don't know if I broke early or something, but we ended up getting into each other, which brought Elias back in, which I thought was going to really make it interesting. But I was able to put together a couple, clean laps together and pull out that gap. But Justin was always there, and I kind of had to keep driving my heart out to keep him back there. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he was saying he was giving everything he had to try to keep up with you, and you know sometimes it's just not making. It's about making the least amount of mistakes, and tonight that was you. And you know you won a couple times here in this Ray eSports series. So I mean maybe we'll see another one coming the next time. But before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, no, Justin showed up this time, so I got no reason to shout him out. But I know my dad's watching this stream back home, so I'll say hi to him.
Awesome. That's always good to have some fans watching the stream, and we really, I know, speaking for myself, but I know Dennis and Greg really enjoy covering this series.
Well, awesome.
Yeah,
Glad we
hi,
could put on
Jack's
that good
dad.
show.
Yeah, hi Jack's dad. We want to make sure I say hello to you too, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
definitely.
can't
Thanks,
forget my girlfriend Rachel either. I'll get in trouble if I do.
Oh yes, Rachel. Hi.
All right, there you go. And again, the two-time winner Jack Tranter takes the win both at Laguna Seca last week and here at Virginia International Raceway. And I'm sure that much like Justin is looking forward to the next MX5 race, which will be in 2 weeks at Mid-Ohio. So is Jack. All right, so that wraps things up for tonight. A couple housekeeping things to take care of course. If you liked what you saw, if you liked what you heard, make sure to go ahead and give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. That would be great. And definitely subscribe to the Apex Racing TV channel here on YouTube. They've got lots of great programming, lots of great races from all over the world, and you'll definitely like what you see if you go ahead and subscribe. Want to, of course, thank our two presenting sponsors, RaceVoice and Driver61. You can find out more information about them at racevoice.com and driver61.com. And next week, the Ray Esports Racing League heads to Road Atlanta. We'll see our Pro Formula Mazdas once again and the return of the Spec Racer Fords. It should be a great time from the virtual Brazelton, Georgia. So for Avery McDonald, for Dennis Branch back behind the shiny little buttons, pushing everything, giving us those great views tonight, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.